2 weeks ago, my entire world was shattered when my wife Jill sat me down in the living room, her usual serene face now clouded with guilt and remorse. The scent of cigarette smoke hung in the air, a telltale sign that she had been trying to calm her nerves before this conversation. She spoke in a shaky voice, telling me we needed to talk. My mind raced with worry, wondering what grave mistake she could have made. Had she lost something valuable? Damaged the car, but nothing could have prepared me for what came next. Jill confessed to having an affair, a month-long affair that I had no inkling of. The shock and betrayal washed over me as she explained how it had all happened in November and ended in December. She could have hidden it forever, but her guilt got the best of her, and she decided I deserved the truth. Tears streamed down her face as she showed me how she had cut off all contact with the other man on every platform imaginable. In their chats, she only spoke positively of me and acknowledged the wrongness of her actions. My heart ached with pain and confusion as I struggled to come to terms with the devastating truth. The details of the affair, while not important in itself, were still shocking to me when I first heard about it. Jill was always a person of high morals and strong principles, her motto being that the world may be a difficult place, but that's no excuse to be a shitty person. She always strived to do and be better, but in this instance, she faltered. At first, I couldn't fully grasp the gravity of the situation. I tried to console her and assure her that we could fix things if she was truly remorseful. But then it dawned on me, one of us had to leave for a while. Jill went to stay with her sister. We made an agreement that only my parents and her sister, since they have no living parents, would know the truth. Jill faced criticism from those closest to her, but there was also a deep sadness that hung over everyone involved. The silence in the spacious apartment is deafening as I lay alone in a bed that feels too big for just one person. According to her sister, Jill spends most of her days in bed, barely eating or leaving the confines of her room. We exchanged brief messages, but we still haven't met since she moved out. She assures me that she will accept whatever decision I make and is willing to fight for our marriage, but also understands if I choose to end it. Despite everything, I have yet to take any action or even contact a lawyer. Instead, I am consumed by a hollow emptiness and sorrow over losing my wife and best friend so suddenly. All I want is to find a way to forgive her if I can, but I am at a loss for what to do. The only hint of anger that stirs within me is directed towards the fact that if she had just kept her secret and not confessed, we wouldn't be facing this turmoil now. My thoughts are like a swirling storm with no clear path forward. Update number 1. Feeling overwhelmed and unsure, I watched as she packed her bags and moved out to her sister's place. She had quit her job in the hopes of repairing our marriage, but she also understood if I was done with her. At this moment, a mix of emotions swirled within me, 90% wanting to try and forgive her, yet feeling stuck due to how soon it all happened. My mind raced with thoughts, and my heart heavy with conflicting desires. Jill was a woman whom I had always admired for her unwavering moral compass and strong sense of right and wrong. Her motto, "The world being a shitty place is no excuse to be a shitty person," resonated with me deeply. But this time, something had changed. Jill seemed to lack the strength or willpower to live up to her own standards. It pained me to discover that she had been engaging in an affair for over a month, 7 times, to be exact. And yet, she still came home and kissed me with those same lips, making love to me as if I were the only one. This was not the Jill I thought I knew, the one who always held herself to a higher standard. It was difficult to reconcile this new version of her with the person I had respected for so long. Despite the potential to keep her actions hidden, she chose to come forward and confess everything. Her words carried a sense of remorse and regret as she acknowledged the inexcusable nature of her behavior and accepted the consequences that would follow. She admitted that her actions were driven by a primal desire for sexual thrill, but she was unable to stop herself before it became too late. In an attempt to make amends, she offered numerous concessions, allowing me to sleep with other women, giving up her right to privacy, and always being available for my sexual needs. However, I found no satisfaction in these proposed compromises. I couldn't bear to see her continue to degrade herself in such a way. As I begin to piece together a plan for moving forward, I seek advice and guidance on how best to navigate this complex situation. Any suggestions or corrections are greatly appreciated. I will have a serious conversation with Jill, making sure she understands the gravity of her actions. I need two things from her: a thorough and honest confession, and a concrete plan for how she will make it up to me. This plan must include measurable steps, not just empty promises like "you can sleep with anyone you want," or "I'll never do it again." I want to see the strong, confident Jill that I fell in love with, not the weak and apologetic version I've seen lately. While I won't take her back immediately, I will make it clear that we are heading towards separation, and I will be consulting a divorce lawyer to begin drafting papers. I will explain to Jill that this is not meant to hurt her or punish her, but simply to protect myself from being hurt again. She needs to understand that her actions have deeply betrayed my trust and caused me pain and suffering, leaving me rightfully afraid of her. If we do decide to work on our marriage, there will be no going back to the way things were before. We will both need to put in effort and commitment to rebuild our relationship. While I don't want to constantly monitor her every move, she will need to earn back my trust by being transparent and accountable for her actions. Any doubts or concerns I have must be addressed immediately with proof. I welcome any advice, opinions, or comments on this matter as well. It's important for us to communicate openly and honestly as we navigate through this difficult time. Update number 2. After carefully considering all the helpful advice I received on this platform, I mustered up the courage to call her. My feelings were in turmoil. Part of me longed for her and missed her deeply, while another part cautioned that seeing her again may only reopen fresh wounds. But ultimately, I decided to take action and get the ball rolling. As soon as she answered the phone, her voice flooded my ears like a soothing melody. She sounded overjoyed and on the verge of tears at the same time. The sound of her voice shook me to my core, but I managed to compose myself and replied that I was equally happy to hear from her. We engaged in some awkward small talk, with her persistently asking how I was doing. Finally, I mustered up the courage to ask if she would be willing to meet in person this Saturday, exactly 3 weeks after D-Day, preferably at her sister's house if she agreed. To my relief, her sister gave her approval. Before ending the call, Jill couldn't help but nervously ask if she had any reason to worry. A faint smile tugged at my lips as I heard the question asked in such an innocent and childlike tone. With gentle reassurance, I simply told her that I wanted her to feel calm and at peace until our meeting. I didn't want to discuss it over the phone, but I wanted her to have faith in our future together. She deflated visibly, her shoulders slumping as she accepted my request. I could see the weight of our conversation settling on her like a heavy cloak. With a sigh, she agreed to write down her account of the affair and her thoughts and ideas for repairing our relationship. I stressed the importance of serious, concrete proposals, urging her not to make any desperate attempts to win me back. She could work on this before our meeting on Saturday or by next week at the latest. I encouraged her to add anything she felt would strengthen her case. And suddenly, there was a shift in her tone. The sound of hope seeped into her voice, and I could sense a smile forming on her lips. Our conversation ended on a slightly more optimistic note as she assured me of her love and apologized once again for hurting me. Later, her sister contacted me and shared that after our call, my wife had been hyperventilating, laughing, and crying all at once. But eventually, she calmed herself down and retreated to her room. Mixed emotions swirl inside me as I try to process everything. Part of me feels hopeful that we can work through this, but there is also apprehension lingering in the back of my mind. Despite this glimmer of hope, I know that I still need to go lawyer shopping and consider drafting divorce papers. I'll also advise Jill to have legal counsel ready just in case things don't go according to plan. I am not yet ready for her to move back in. Even if and when she does, we will have separate sleeping spaces. I want to make it clear that my intention is not to hurt her, but rather to protect myself. I do still love her, and I believe she loves me as well, but the emotional, psychological, and sexual abuse she inflicted on me cannot be ignored. If she is truly the woman I believed her to be, or if there is even a small part of that person left inside her, then she will understand and accept my need for boundaries. Despite everything that has happened, I hold on to hope that we will find a way to make things right in the end. Whether that means staying together or going our separate ways, only time will tell. Update number 3. After 3 agonizing weeks of waiting, I finally agreed to meet her today. Following some advice I had received, I asked her to provide a handwritten account of her infidelity, a list of proposals for working through our situation, and any other information she thought might help our case. We decided to meet at her sister's place, as a neutral ground, with her sister in the next room, just in case things got too emotional. As soon as I saw Jill, my heart skipped a beat. Despite the pale complexion and red eyes from all the crying, she had put herself together well. She even commented that I looked good too, and asked for a hug, which I hesitantly gave. Then we got down to business. First, we read through the 9 handwritten pages detailing her affair. Each word felt like a punch to my gut, but I knew I needed to hear it. She signed it and allowed me to keep it as proof of her betrayal. A wave of brutality washed over me as she poured out her confession. Every detail was laid bare. The beginnings, the actions, the methods used, and even how she returned to me afterwards. Some passages held a cold clinical tone, while others were filled with deep introspection and self-awareness. There were moments of apologetic remorse and others that reeked of smug satisfaction. And for the first time, I saw a darkness inside her that I had never glimpsed before. She admitted to not enjoying hurting me, but also confessed to taking pleasure in her own actions, despite knowing they caused me pain. This revelation disgusted her, and she spent days wallowing in guilt before finally deciding that I deserved to know the truth. After her confession came a list of proposals that she deemed concrete and realistic. She promised to provide information whenever she had doubts about something, offer proof to back up her words, wait for me outside of work, accompany me during random errands, and be accountable for her whereabouts at all times. She made it clear that everything was at my discretion, and if I wanted stricter restrictions, she would accept them without question. I explained to her that while I didn't want to be her jailer, if we were to continue our relationship, she would have to be on a short leash for some time. Trust would have to be earned back, bit by bit. I then explained my plan. carefully choosing my words as I sat across from her at the kitchen table. The sunlight streaming in through the window lit up her tear-stained cheeks, giving them an ethereal glow. She looked like she was about to cry again, but instead she closed her eyes and hung her head in defeat. I told her that, despite everything, I still planned on seeking legal counsel and drafting divorce papers. Her eyes snapped open, and fear flickered across her face before she quickly composed herself. She nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. I made it clear that she needed to seek therapy and that it would be on her own dime. We would also need to separate for a while, and if her sister could provide a place for her to stay, great. If not, she would have to find her own accommodations. Jill agreed, resignation evident in her voice. She turned to me with watery eyes and said, "You don't deserve any of this. You deserve someone who won't betray you like I did. Someone who makes you happy like you make them." I couldn't argue with her words, but I knew it would be best to end the meeting before my emotions got the better of me. We parted ways with those heavy thoughts hanging in the air between us. I reassured her that whatever happened, it wouldn't be the end of the world. She meekly countered that it would be the end of hers. It was a sobering realization for both of us. As we said our goodbyes, she asked for another hug, which I gave without hesitation. In a quiet whisper, she told me that no matter what happens, she will always love me and is deeply sorry for what she did. On my way out, I made small talk with her sister, whom I'll refer to as Kiara, who had been waiting patiently on the stairs. As we walked, her ears caught snippets of our conversation, and I condensed it for her. She nodded thoughtfully, acknowledging that she found my summary to be fair. However, she couldn't help but agree with Jill's viewpoint, that I did not deserve this treatment, and that there were plenty of faithful women who would give anything to be with me. Swiftly, she added that the Jill she used to look up to as a big sister was no longer present, replaced by someone she could only feel pity and love towards, but not respect. With a gentle tone, she expressed admiration for my attempts at handling everything calmly and trying to find a resolution. But if I allowed myself to be taken advantage of by Jill, if her apologies were insincere, that respect would quickly dissipate. And if things escalated, and I sought out another partner, she admitted that even she may lose respect for me and choose to leave. That's where we stand now in our relationship. Update number 4. This coming Monday, I will be meeting with a divorce lawyer to explore the possibility of ending our marriage. My soon-to-be ex-wife is aware of my plans, but I have also made it clear that I am not ready to file for divorce just yet. There are still things for me to sort out and consider before making such a decision. Despite the turmoil in our relationship, she has been surprisingly cooperative and eager to make things right. I can sense her genuine remorse and regret for what she has done to me. She has respected my request for separation and has even taken steps to seek therapy for herself. In an effort to show her sincerity, she has provided me with a written confession detailing her affair, along with her proposals to save our marriage and make amends for her actions. As we move towards a potential divorce, there is a bittersweet mix of emotions between us, anger and hurt, but also love and sadness at the thought of parting ways after all these years together. Despite the pain it brings, I cannot deny the sincerity in her actions and words. Today, she took the initiative to gather numerous photos of us together, some dating back as far as 2012, and shared them on her social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram. I couldn't help but reach out to her about this sudden display, and she responded by saying that she felt compelled to do so, but would remove them if it caused me any discomfort. A part of me believes she did it to show off to her new love interest, but I cannot be certain. In a moment of vulnerability, I allowed her to keep the photos up. As much as it may hurt, I cannot bring myself to erase those precious memories from her online presence. The images serve as a reminder of what once was, and despite everything that has transpired between us, they hold a special place in my heart. Update number 5. Emotions swirl through me, but anger is not one of them. I try to muster it up, but it's like trying to light a damp match. Instead, a heavy sadness settles in my chest, mixed with regret and a sense of emptiness. It's as if all the warmth and color have been drained from my being. I observe her actions carefully, analyzing whether she truly means what she says, or if it's just empty promises. But there is a part of me that wants to believe her, that desperately hopes for reconciliation. She is making an effort, being proactive, and genuinely apologetic. She gives me space, but also reminds me that she is not giving up on us. I am torn between wanting to push her away and wanting to hold on to any shred of love we had left. Things are slowly getting better, but the hollowness lingers. I can't help but wonder if she would feel better if I expressed my anger towards her in a physical way, but that's just not who I am. I could never bring myself to hurt her, no matter how much she may deserve it. In her own words, she wishes I would snap at her or destroy something in a fit of rage. But I know deep down that I will never be capable of such actions towards someone I once loved so deeply. Update number 6. I fulfilled her birthday wish and attended the celebration, though it was far from grand. The atmosphere was rather bleak, with only her sister and myself in attendance to commemorate her special day. As we spoke, I broached the topic of her moving back in with me. Her face lit up at the thought, proclaiming it would be the best gift she could ever receive. However, I remained firm in my decision to decline this offer. Deep down, I knew it was more for my own sake than hers. After all, she had thrown away our 10-year relationship without a second thought. I insisted on taking time to see if I could trust and love this new version of her before considering reconciliation. She understood my point of view and agreed to start off by occupying the spare home office room instead of sharing a bed or bedroom with me immediately. It wasn't a large room, but it wasn't cramped either. She accepted this arrangement and even proposed that we schedule visits to my bedroom in hopes of rebuilding intimacy between us. I remained cautious and reminded her that I needed my personal space at times, no questions asked. One concern that weighed heavily on my mind was her lack of income. I expressed my reservations about potentially having to financially support her if she couldn't find a new job soon enough. To my relief, she reassured me that she had plenty of savings to contribute towards household expenses, and would also be willing to be a stay-at-home wife if I desired. Her words, "Now my full-time job is saving our marriage," struck me as overly melodramatic. Despite my doubts, there were moments where I caught glimpses of the old Jill, who I had loved deeply. These reminders prompted me to give our relationship another chance. Though uncertain of how things will turn out, deep down, I hope this decision won't lead to future regrets. Update number 7. Last week, she was given the chance to come back, and she eagerly jumped at the opportunity. Now, she sleeps in the spare room, her presence filling the house with both familiarity and a sense of longing for what once was. She timidly asked for the possibility of visits to my room, a desire for reconciliation and rebuilding intimacy evident in her eyes. I replied that we would see with time, not wanting to make any promises or give false hope. She is determined to do everything in her power to win me back, her actions and words exuding a sense of determination and regret. And while I may still hold on to feelings of resentment and hurt, she does not take it personally and continues to do all the right things. Tonight, we shared a meal together and watched some mindless TV, trying to fill the silence with something familiar. But as the night wore on, I couldn't help but feel exhausted by it all and retreated to bed early. She insisted on a goodnight kiss, her lips soft against mine like they used to be. She lingered in the living room for a little while longer before eventually retiring to her own room. And now, as I lay here in the quietness of the night, my thoughts are filled with uncertainty and hope. With each passing day, I can only pray that things will get better and we can slowly rebuild our connection, piece by delicate piece. Update number 8. 10 days have passed since she returned, and while they may seem like a short amount of time, it has been full of progress. We are both putting in genuine effort and making strides towards reconciliation. I have reclaimed the bedroom as my own, and she has taken the spare room, but we still attend individual therapy and couples counseling to work through our issues. Despite all that has happened, she is giving her all to win me back. She has been incredibly open and honest about her motivations. It is not just because she loves me, but also because our marriage is all she has left. Her career of over a decade is gone, along with her friends who have turned their backs on her. Even her own sister has cut ties with her. She didn't share this for pity, but as a truthful assessment of her current state. There are moments where I almost forget the pain and betrayal from before, and things feel almost as good as they did before. This past Saturday, we spent the whole morning at the shooting range, just like we used to when we were younger. It was such a simple activity, but we both had a blast, and it felt like we hadn't had that much fun in months. Occasionally, she makes subtle advances towards me, whether it's lingering in the shower or changing into light summer pajamas. She also enjoys snuggling up to me and resting her head on my lap while we watch shows on Netflix. Today, when I arrived home from work, she surprised me with an expensive designer watch. As I inspected it, I couldn't help but notice its hefty price tag of 600 euros. Grateful for the gesture, I expressed my discomfort with her spending so much money on me. However, she assured me that her finances were not a concern and that making me happy was worth the cost. For now, I've left the watch in its box and am unsure if I'll ever wear it. It almost feels like a reversal of roles, with the woman buying extravagant gifts to make up for any mistakes made by the man. Thankfully, she understood my hesitation and took no offense. Instead, she simply suggested we return it and find something else that I would enjoy wearing. Despite my reluctance to accept such an expensive gift, her thoughtfulness and understanding only confirmed why I fell in love with her in the first place. Update number 9. Both wayward wife and I are owners of firearms. In the midst of her confession about the affair and her subsequent departure to her sister's house, she asked to take her pistol, a gift from me years ago. However, I denied her request due to her heightened emotions and her sister's aversion to guns in her home. At the time, I was simply acting with caution, but today she revealed that if I had allowed her to take it, she most likely would have fired herself. This new information caught me off guard and stirred up conflicting feelings within me. She reassured me that I do not need to worry anymore, even if things do not work out between us, because she is no longer in the same mental state as before. She also wanted me to know that she was not saying this to manipulate or garner pity from me, but rather out of gratitude for my continued care despite all that has happened. I am unsure of how to process this revelation. While we are making progress in reconnecting, this is certainly something we will need to address in our counseling sessions. Update number 10. My partner, the wayward wife, was always the one in charge between us. Whether it was because of her age or her past career as a cop, she had a strong and assertive personality. However, things have shifted and she has become withdrawn and almost submissive. Now, I am the one taking control, and it can be overwhelming at times. I try my best to treat her with fairness and kindness, and she is understanding when I need space. Occasionally, we discuss her affair, which makes her feel ashamed, but she remains honest about it. She takes full responsibility for her actions and acknowledges that cheating was not the solution to any issues we may have had. Wayward wife is constantly worried about our future together and is determined to work on fixing our relationship, knowing that it will take time for us to heal. Update number 11. 4 months have passed since the dreaded D-Day for us, but the pain and confusion still linger like a thick fog. Emotions that were once numb have started to surge in the last couple of weeks. I never lose my cool, but I can't help but let my wayward wife know when I feel anger, sadness, or just plain numbness. We've had countless talks about everything: our marriage, her infidelity, and what we want for our future. When discussing her physical affair, I push for details, wanting to understand every aspect of the betrayal. In these moments, she becomes visibly emotional, and we often end up consoling each other, or simply holding each other tight while she whispers apologies. But then there were a few talks that took a different turn. They became more intimate, with lingering gazes and gentle touches. Once, she even initiated lovemaking, and I welcomed it with open arms. On another occasion, after drying her tears and comforting her, I took the lead and she reciprocated with fervor. It was some of the most intense lovemaking we had ever experienced together, leaving us both confused and questioning our actions. Could this be hysterical bonding? Can it happen months after D-Day? Has anyone else experienced something similar in their journey toward healing? Update number 12. Despite the inevitable ups and downs of our relationship, things have been going relatively well. However, we continue to sleep in separate bedrooms. I occupy our familiar old bedroom, while she takes refuge in the spare room. Occasionally, after moments of intimacy, she will fall asleep beside me in our bed. But after an hour or so, she stirs awake and retreats back to her own room. Last night was different. She came into my room, gently awakening me from my slumber. With a small voice full of longing, she asked if just for tonight she could share my bed because she was feeling particularly lonely and unable to sleep. I agreed, on the condition of it being a one-time occurrence. Part of me is still uncertain about the decision, but I am contemplating the possibility of allowing her to permanently return to sleeping in our bed. Update number 13. On our end, things are gradually improving. My wayward wife has been working diligently towards rebuilding her relationships with my parents and sister. The tension that once filled the air is slowly dissipating, and although things may never be quite the same as before, they are becoming cordial. As my birthday approaches, wayward wife has expressed a desire to plan a dinner and gathering with our friends and family. She wants to handle all the details and make the necessary arrangements. Our social circle is aware of what transpired between us, but thankfully, most have handled it with grace and respect towards wayward wife. She is determined to repair any damaged connections and show people that we are still together, united as a couple. I am touched by her efforts, and she says it's the least she can do for me after everything I've been through since D-Day. In fact, she admits that her feelings for me have only grown stronger during this difficult time, as if she has fallen in love with me all over again. This is the last update to this story. The path of reconciliation is a long one and requires trust on both sides. If you have made it this far, remember to like and subscribe to my channel for more daily real-life stories.